definitely need architects. I want to have a set of rules that we use for architecture and then design specific buildings that fit into the landscape, a very particular location, according to its orientation, its availability of sun. We could have buildings that are built into a ravine that were almost totally buried. We could have, I need to design root cellar systems where there's, at least two root cellars where one is drier and one is wetter. Seems like those would be pretty easy to design. But some of the buildings I want to build are far beyond my current capabilities or resources. And so I want to work on those as well. And then we could, get co-credit on the creation of these buildings and ultimately derive the rules for building, the new rules for building. Like there's a great book called The Pattern Language, which has different areas you would consider in not just architecture, even though it's famous with architects, but really a lot of what it talks about is how we use spaces for people. It has like a section called alcoves. And so we would come up with our own pattern language for how we design a community in this climate, and then how we would also change that if it was a different climate. And we would also prepare for potential climate change or big climate events like storms and earthquakes. So we look at water storage and all sorts of things that most people don't even think about. So a super creative architect, able to, be really good with CAD. And we could publish a lot of those as open source. You could build your name as an architect and create things that aren't just like LEED certified buildings that use a lot of specialized materials, but are built with local materials and sometimes manual labor, not having access to cranes and stuff. This is, in a sense, a more rustic way of building. We would use a lot of natural materials, but I'm also pro-concrete in some cases. I'd like to build glass greenhouses extensively so that there's always warm spots, so that buildings are built so you don't need any energy for heating or cooling them. I want composting toilets built into them. I want separate systems for urine, that the urine goes out of the building and goes underground into a garden where there's all these beautiful flowers and stuff. And so all of the impact of humans can be made positive with correct building design.